Alrighty, folks, it is time for round two of Grand Prix Everrime, and we are once again up against Black Red Reanimator. There were only two players that brought it to this field, and we just so happened to have run into the back-to-back here. So I was a little nervous about how this match would fare, and worked out pretty well in round one, but we'll see how we handle the rematch here. This list is almost identical to what we played against last round in the hands of Epid, but the two things that are worth noting here is that Ricky Rister is our opponent this round, and Ricky is the person who has been piloting this deck to a lot of success this season. Not to dismiss Epid's strengths as a player by any measure, because Epid is absolutely a pretty strong player when it comes to these sorts of mid-range decks, especially. Just sort of unfortunate draws on our opponent's part, especially in that game too. So not only does Ricky have some pedigree with this particular strategy, but also Ricky is rolling the exact build of the strategy that has been giving them some luck recently. So obviously the image we're on now is the Privilege Escalation promo that Ricky won from Grand Prix Dawn Bloom Grove in September. And then in place of the fabricated anomalies that we saw in Epid's build of the strategy, we are back to Ricky's version of the 4 copies of Audacious Rough Rider. So the role that this plays is very similar to fabricated anomaly in terms of getting cards into graveyard. Flip top card of your library, you can discard a card to put that card into your hand. Otherwise, you just make a treasure. So it can kind of just let unimportant cards roll off the top and make some additional mana, or can, discard cards from hand to either get those key cards to hand, or more importantly, get those key cards from hand into graveyard, and does that when it enters or leaves the battlefield. So removal is not going to stop this from generating value. Does not apply as much pressure as Fabricated Anomaly does, but I think the deck is still capable of applying a good amount of pressure, especially when it is aiming for the Privilege Escalation plan. So that is something we will have to be keenly aware of. Sideboard is the same as last round as well, so if you want a more in-depth read into how this strategy plays, how it sideboards and all of that, go ahead and check out my previous round, where I have a longer sort of matchup overview on what the Reanimator matchup looks like, what this deck is trying to accomplish as far as Privilege Escalation and Reclaim the Fallen goes. So I'm a little nervous about this matchup. I think my main board is a little awkward for this matchup. I kind of went into it last round. I boarded out the Onomastics, I boarded out the Dawnhymn Heralds, and I went up on Sanctum Repressions and Gentle Grasps. I think Plasma Strike does kill a lot of their things, but I think their things don't really need to be attacking us a whole lot, or blocking our things a whole lot for them to just kind of tear away with the game. These are really more anti-aggro Plasma Strikes rather than pure checking 3 toughness Plasma Strikes. Though that being said, in this particular build of this matchup, our opponent not having Fabricated Anomalies does mean that, especially if Ricky pivots into the more mid-rangey build of the strategy outside of Privilege Escalation, then if they go to Audacious Rough Rider, Ignited Soul, Rooftop Slink, Exorcist of Errors, Inner Rings Pupil, those do all get killed by Plasma Strike. The one downside to Plasma Strike over Sanctum of Repression is just that because it only hits attacking, blocking, and tapped creatures, we do have to send one of our creatures in and accept that it's not connecting for combat damage if we want to Plasma Strike a blocker. Whereas we can proactively Sanctum of Oppression something out of the way otherwise. So that is something we will have to consider a little bit more carefully. Whereas Fabricated Anomaly can pull things outside of the range of Plasma Strike. So we'll see if I feel comfortable making the call for Plasma Strike. I think it really depends on how I feel about Ricky's probability of going for the more mid-rangey plan. But I'm going to be entirely honest. I'm not entirely sure I agree with Epid's judgment of pivoting to that sideboard mid-range plan. I think my answers present in the sideboard are not meaningful enough to warrant going off of the reanimation plan. And I think there is enough going on for the reanimation plan in terms of how effective it is at stopping me in my tracks. It came very close to taking me out of the game last match in game one. So while we were able to navigate that, I think if we had not had as much pressure on board, if they'd had even just like one more key removal spell timely, just picking off like a flyer or something, then we would have been in a position for the wrong deck, for the privilege escalation just kind of tear us out of the match. So nervous about this matchup, as I was nervous last round. Was hoping I could maybe get away with only having to play against this strategy once this GP, but unfortunately I am going to have to really earn my keep here. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Probably going to take a second while Ricky gets started on recording as well. This is a good time to note I will have an info card popping up right around as game one starts, but also it will be linked in the description below. Ricky will likely also be recording this matchup, so I will have a link available in that info card and in the description to Ricky's perspective on this match. Highly would recommend checking out that perspective. Ricky's a really strong player when it comes to these sorts of mid-range plus strategies, especially when there's like sort of a mid-rangey, grindy plan with some sort of additional layer of sort of exploitation. In this case, reanimation, but sort of cheating something into play one way or another. Consonance is what he's known for. Though that is no longer in the format. Looks like we win the die roll on a reroll. What are with these very funky hands? We could keep 7 here, but that is, so that's turn 1 reinforcements, turn 2 reinforcements, turn 3 consume the divine. It's not the most blitzing start in the universe. We swing for 4 on turn 3. That is my notification that my computer restarted last night, and I need to close the BattleNet browser. Get these little pop-ups every once in a while. I could have sworn I turned that off on in terms of it just turning on as soon as I start up my computer. I think I'm inclined to mulligan this because this is just a sluggish hand. But on 25 land, sorry, not on 25 lands, on 20 lands, Primal Fissure on turn 1, getting me down to 14 in deck. That is a really high likelihood of just drawing gas for the rest of this game. Ricky, of course, flagging Radiant Devotee as a part of the conversation. Possible that Ricky has kept a hand trying to stem a turn 1 Devotee. Talking about Devotee, talking about Ambitious Angel. I think I will keep this. I think it purely comes down to the 20 total lands. So while 5 landers with this sluggish of a start would normally be really hesitant for me to keep, knowing that I have the 5 lands and a fetch to get a 6th land out of the deck, I'm very likely to be drawing gas for the rest of the game. I could still flood out here, is the risk we're taking, but we'll see how it pans out here. I'm going to play Primal Fissure and give nothing away here. I'm just going to pass. So opponent goes for Temple of Origins. We will see if they have the 1-drop. They do have the Ignited Soul. So let's go ahead and crack. View library. Get the planes. Draw a second Primal Fissure. Unfortunate, but that is 2 lands out of our deck there. So we will pass once again. I think the plan here is going to be... The unfortunate thing here, actually, is I am inclined to want to run out the wastes sooner rather than later just to get this Neostelia untapped, because the sooner I get this untapped, the sooner it represents damage. So I think if this weren't a Primal Fisher, if this were just a basic land, I would have gone for the Wastes here. Ricky, of course, does flag Resolute Reinforcements. This is open deck list. Ricky knows exactly the cards that I'm on and the quantities of those cards. So Ricky knows that Resolute Reinforcements is going to be a possibility here with me passing with 2 mana up. Ricky's a very good player, isn't just going to stumble into this without anticipating what I could have here. Though the question then becomes, if Ignited Soul swings at me, do I flash in the Resolute Reinforcements and double block? We see a Swamp here from Ricky. Shigani Mana Burns is the play. So that's going to get some value rolling. Opts not to attack. So it is possible that Ricky's plan here is to chump block, hope to use Ignited Soul to trade with the reinforcements or the token. Has correctly predicted what's coming here. We will untap and draw. We find an Ambitious Angel. It's a little slow, but this is kind of the card we want to see when we're flooding out anyhow, so... yeah, this one of Wastes is not going to be making the Neostelia untapped in a timely manner to the point where it would be important to have it come in untapped. Oh, whoops. Nope. Wrong land. Not the Neostelia. Consume the Divine. You're talking about Neostelia and my brain just blanked for a second. Opponent takes 4, and we pass. All right, and we're off to the races. Opponent is very likely to have some sort of check to this. If we find another... Oh god, opponent pitches a Privilege Escalation to Shigani Mana Burns, flips Shigani Mana Burns, Festered Effluvium. This is actually a tough choice for the opponent, because Festered Effluvium X's 3 does have a slim chance. Slim, but a chance nonetheless to flip into the Effluvium directly into play this turn. So land drop, Festered Effluvium X's 3. If it flips exactly 2 lands as well as the Reclaim the Fallen, that will put the Reclaim in the graveyard as well as add 4 black mana and draw a card, at which point the Effluvium has paid for the flashback cost of Reclaim the Fallen, and then Privilege Escalation will just murder us. So we'll see if they go for that. I imagine Ricky is thinking through the math on that, thinking through the odds. I am willing to hazard a guess that Ricky swings with Ignited Soul before he commits to which one of these cards gets played. But I also would not be surprised if the plan here is to use Shigani Mana Burns and just build up the resources and let Festered Effluvium go to the wayside. We'll see. I think it's possible that there's a Reclaim the Fallen in hand here. That could complicate things on the math for Effluvium and really sway things in favor of Shigani Mana Burns. It also means that playing SMB here tees up the Reclaim. Actually, I think it becomes very clear that it's Shigani Mana Burns if you have a Reclaim the Fallen in hand, because you get the second value engine rolling and you have the second SMB ticking up to guarantee the Reclaim the Fallen next turn. So the fact that Shigani Mana Burns was not just the windmill slam here, Ricky, from my recollection, is not really the type of player to windmill slam things, but I am starting to suspect that there is no Reclaim the Fallen in hand, at the very least. So opponent is going to go to combat here before doing anything. We'll take 1. Pitches a land. Possible that they're flooding out. Not super likely, though. Actually, it is a little more likely than what's happening to us. Opponent is on 25 lands. We'll see what happens here. I think unless the draw here is exactly Consume the Divine, I'm inclined to play out the Wastes here. Opponent plays Primal Fissure, starts digging through their library. That includes if I draw my third Primal Fissure. I think I still play the Wastes. Fissure being tapped just is not as important as being able to like get Neostelia untapped, just for like more surprise damage. Fissure's for a swamp here, so very likely no Audacious Rough Riders, which is good. Rough Riders is their best blocker in this current situation. Does make me suspect they're leaning towards an Effluvium line, because if they hit just like a couple creatures, they have blockers for what I've got going on. They are tapping to Reanimator Burns. I think it's possible they do have the Reclaim the Fallen here. They are going for the Reanimator Burns, so not going to have a lot of blockers here, but they are going to have... Oh, Terminal Impact, kill one of our creatures. Okay, kill the Resolute Reinforcements. 3 cards in hand for the opponent. And that is a lot of pressure off the board. We will draw Aegis of Grace. Well, that's a good reason to play out the Wastes. Yeah, let's jam this out. All right. It's not perfect, but it could be worse. Let's go to combat, swing 3, and pass on back. So opponent has removal. They have to point it at Aegis before they can point it at the soldier token. Importantly, that means that they would have to discard 2 Reanimator Burns. Okay, they pitch Reclaim the Fallen. That is what I was worried about. They find Rooftop Slink, Privilege Escalation. This seems pretty clear-cut here. You swing with Ignited Soul first to sort of inform the turn, but it's almost certainly going to be Reclaim the Fallen for Privilege Escalation, and then just cast this Rooftop Slink just to get another body in play. And that's going to be probably Curtains here. This is what this matchup is built to do. This is why the Reanimation plan is so good. This is why I hate this matchup. Yeah, I kind of knew that this matchup was going to be difficult no matter what deck I bring. I think this is just a really strong deck right now. It's been a strong deck since September. It won in September and made it into October unscathed. And it didn't win on October. It only got to top 8, I believe. But, you know, this deck is a haymaker and a half. Ricky is really showing why. So... more planning, more thinking from Ricky. I imagine it is just sort of mulling over the possibilities on like how I could possibly get out of the situation I've outlined. There could be an argument. Yeah, I take one. Could be an argument for being worried that I just have a way around the privilege escalation. When escalation enters, I have 2 life to keep the soldier, 6 life to keep the Aegis, 5 life to keep the Consume the Divine. It is going to be Terminal Impact for Aegis of Grace. Interesting. That is not what I was anticipating here. Oh, I should have just realized I missed this. All right. So it is Slink and keeping the privilege escalation back for a turn. Curious. Well, we'll untap. We will draw. That is a very unfortunate and very funny draw here. If we could have gone for it, this would have been an amazing draw here. Or this would be an amazing draw if they had not popped the Aegis of Grace. So thinking through the math, if we had gotten hit by privilege escalation here, we pay 6 plus 5, 11 life, go to 5, swing with the Aegis of Grace for 5, go to 10, we die. So that was not the play. If we don't pay the 5 life here, we pay the 6 life, go to 10, swing with the Aegis for 4, play out Aegis, Ambitious Angel. Opponent is at 7. And yeah. Well, we are going to play Neostelia. We're going to go to combat. Going to swing in with the soldier. Get a counter. This is a real consideration for having to block here. Opponent is just going to take it. Well, we're not going to use Neostelia. I played the Neostelia in part to bait the block here. I don't mind pitching the Coalesced Mesa here. Let's go ahead and play Aegis of Grace and Ambitious Angel. And now we actually have a really easy solution here if the Privilege Escalation comes into play. Because if they go for Privilege Escalation, we pay 6 life for Aegis, pay 3 life for Ambitious Angel. That's 9, go to 7. And we just level up Ambitious Angel. Or sorry, we go to 5 because the Shigani Manor Burns is going to deal 2 to us. But yeah, I think the second Aegis draw actually does significantly reshape this game in our favor. I'm not sure how we beat the privilege escalation last turn, even with Aegis of Grace in play. So I'm curious to know what the rationale was behind the terminal impact line there. I'm definitely gonna have to watch Ricky's perspective on this because I really want to hear the thinking there. But now I'm not sure anything other than another terminal impact killing Aegis of Grace to buy another turn gets there, and even then, like, we just swing with both of our things. They have to keep up a blocker, otherwise the soldier token kills them. And they have to keep up one of their existing blockers because if they kill the Aegis of Grace, it has to be with another terminal impact. We've already seen 2 go by. So it has to be one of their 2 remaining terminal impacts to kill the Aegis of Grace. Otherwise, Reclaim the Fallen is just not going to cut it. Not where I thought this game was going. If my naysaying about how impactful, no pun intended, the opponent is swinging in with Ignited Soul. No blocks. Now we will take 1. Because if they pitch another Shigani Manor Burns, because if we get hit with the privilege escalation, like, that doesn't matter. Because they can't remove anything we have in play. Ambitious Angel is insulated from terminal impact, and it's insulated from Final Fate because it has hexproof right now. Aegis of Grace can only be hit by Final Fate Flashback, which costs all of their mana, and they also don't have one in their graveyard. And would require 4 mana for a terminal impact to clear. It's possible that they have a clear for Aegis of Grace, but if the plan here is to go for the reanimation, then we've got it. Because we just sacrifice these. We even draw a card off of the soldier because the Consume the Divine, I believe, still does see it die. And then Aegis of Grace is 4, Ambitious Angel is 3. That's all flying, nothing that can block it in the air. Oh, they are going to flip Synthetic Spectre and play out an Ignited Soul here. Interesting. So now consideration is that if we draw a removal spell for the Synthetic Spectre, we've got lethal. If we draw a removal for anything, I think we've got lethal. Untap and draw. Dawnhim Herald. Interesting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to combat. You're going to swing with everything, counters on everything. We're not going to level up the Ambitious Angel. They are going to block here and here. So we gain 5. They take 2. We go to main phase 2. We could Dawn Him Herald, make a pair of 1/1s, gain 5 life, and pick up the Ambitious Angel and then reset it. There's an argument to maybe Neostelia there. We gain 1 additional life, we deal 1 additional damage, and we just don't play out the Dawn Him Herald. And then, you know, if they go to 4 here, that was probably a mistake, actually. That being said, I'm happy to just play out the Dawn Him Herald here. Because at the very least, the 5 life this gains me means I can keep Consume the Divine in the wake of a board wipe. Let's go ahead and play the Coalesced Mesa just to get a card out of hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to play the Herald. We are just going to gain 5 life. Actually, I think with this no longer being... I'm going to reprieve. I think with this no longer being lethal on its lonesome, because we didn't Neostelia here anyways, I am going to pick this up for the sake of create 2 1/1s. I gain 5. So make a pair of 1/1s. Just going to move them over here. Go to 23. And then I play out Ambitious Angel. And I pass. So now I will happily double block the Soldier tokens in front of the Ignited Soul. They get another Shigani Manor Burns trigger. They can pitch a Rooftop Slink, get the redraws. That's not going to cut it. Audacious Rough Rider, they just hit a mountain. They say GG. Wow, I thought I was so screwed there, but it really came together in a way that I needed it to. I'm a little hesitant to take out the Dawn Him Heralds right now. If they do go for the sideboard pivot, Dawn Him Heralds have a lot less meaningful hits in terms of the second mode, but obviously, you know, the first and third modes are still relevant on their own rights. If we don't cut the Dawn Him Heralds here, what are we dropping? Definitely not Aegis of Grace. This card just does so much in this match. Like, this card is, I think, the real powerhouse of the deck in terms of just, like, fair things that the deck can do. Like, so much of the strength of Devotee is that it has Aegis of Grace to rush out into play. I think if this card were worse, then Devotee was just not worth playing. Maybe it's like a Reinforcements Align Warden. Keep the top end. Just anticipate for a grindier matchup. Yeah, I think I like that more than dropping the Dawn Him Heralds here. Because, like, if they don't take the sideboard pivot, the Heralds do have meaningful hits. And if they do take the sideboard pivot, you know, I mentioned Plasma Strike might be relevant, might be worth boarding in. That can be a decision we make game 2. But I think regardless of what plan they go for, Sanctum Repression is just going to be meaningful here. So let's click ready to start. And again, Repression is ultimately going to be either remove target Shigani Manor Burns, or you know, maybe we pick off a token, but I don't see many scenarios where I will want to pick off a treasure. More likely, it's just going to be, you know, remove a blocker, clear the way for our creatures on the ground. But really taking advantage of the fact that, you know, the format just doesn't have a lot of flyers. They are very dependent on flipping Rooftop Slink to get any sort of flying play here. And, you know, if we'd picked up a Containment Seraph there, then they were just dead before they could even take another turn. So, lots of good things happening here. All right, opponent's presumably going to be on the play here. Oy. Not what I wanted to see here. Oy. Come on. This is the 20 land life right here. Keep a 5-lander, draw a 6th land, and then get a 0-lander, 1-lander. Hey, this hand just can't play the game. All right. I mean, we're going to rock it. I think it's going to be Stelia. No, we can't play Stelia tapped. Keep 5. We're going to bottom the Dawnhymn Herald here, and we will bottom a Gentle Grasp, I think. I think we're going to go Coalesced Mesa, Ambitious Angel here. Opponent shocks in Sanguine Palace. Plays out an Ignited Soul. We will draw a Sanctum of Repression number 2, so sideboard cards coming in strong. We will play out Ambitious Angel and pass. Whew. Alrighty. So very likely opponent just goes for Shigani Manor Burns here. We are not going to be able to remove it if we don't draw an untapped land here. Yep, opponent attacks. I think we're just very likely to see spells cast on main phase 2 this matchup. Ignited Soul is very good at solving the main phase 1 problems, which is just to say you don't play things on main phase 1 with Ignited Soul because you could have better things off of the Ignited Soul. So yeah. Alrighty. What do you have for me this time? Mountain Shigani Manor Burns? Maybe? Ignited Soul number 2. No Rooftop Slink or 3rd Ignited Soul. Interesting. Makes me wonder why you don't just run out basic land on turn 1. Maybe no basic swamps around? Because the double black is more valuable than the double red, so pitch a mountain, draw a mountain. That's one of the drawbacks to this deck being, even split of mountains and swamps. You've got the double red on Audacious Rough Rider, but otherwise the 8 mountains kind of hurt. Ricky brings up Soft Light Harmonist here, possibly considering that as a card to be aware of. We find a Radiant Devotee. So we will play Neostelia tapped. We will take 1 to play out the Devotee. We'll go to combat, swing here. This untaps here. And opponent takes the 1. And we pass. Rough situation here, but we could claw it back. This is going to require some very, very cautious expenditure of resources here. We have 3 interactive sideboard pieces here. We just got to be able to time it properly. Use our sideboard tools to get us ahead rather than be reactive. I know that's hard to say while we're holding a counterspell, functional counterspell, but again, reactivity needs to be in service of tempo rather than in service of stopping the opponent from winning. Because if the opponent is at that point, we're in a nightmare scenario anyways. Okay, the Terminal Impact Radiant Devotee. I think that is actually incorrect here. I can see the rationale for doing so. We have a pretty slow start, and you kind of just want to clear the way. Pitches an Enduring Loyalty to the first Ignited Soul, and it looks like thinking on the second. So one of the things that I'm thinking about here, pitches in Fester Fluvium, is that I'm not sure you Terminal Impact before attacking here, in part because I don't think you mind losing an Ignited Soul. Trading this 1-drop for this 1-drop, I think, is something you value if you value getting the Devotee off the board. But it does look like the opponent is in a bit of a sketchy situation. I'm curious to know, pitching Fester Defluvium when you are seemingly missing black mana, this is a way to sort of cheat getting the black mana. I wonder what the opponent is holding here on their last 3 cards. Okay, so that's rather unfortunate that they did pick off the Devotee, and then we hit a really good 4-drop to have Convoked out off of it. Well, oh well. We pass. I will be Gentle Grasping damn near anything they play here. I think I do not Gentle Grasp a removal spell, but anything else I will Gentle Grasp here. I think as much as I would love to Gentle Grasp a removal spell on the Ambitious Angel, I am capable enough of recovering the board in terms of where it's at right now. I think I'm more interested in keeping them from getting something good in play right now. They do pitch a Reclaim the Fallen, they pitch a Mountain. So they are double black away from getting to make the Reclaim the Fallen do work. By that point, like, the Reclaim the Fallen would just do work in hand. It seems like we're both on awkward draws here. Opponent does have the Final Fate. Yep. We're just going to let that through. Opponent does pass there. Unfortunate. He will draw another Radiant Devotee. God, this hand. Yeah, maybe we should have just fired off the Gentle Grasp. Because, like, I don't know. Because, like, we swing with the Ambitious Angel. They Final Fate the Devotee. Like, this game is just awful. Things are not going how we need it to at all. Yep. And this is, like, just one of the things Ignited Soul is really good at. Like, you just pair Ignited Soul with removal to keep Ignited Soul able to attack each turn. And, like, we did 2 damage to ourselves with a Coalesced Mesa, but that is 7 damage from these 1/1s. That is pretty significant when their reanimation plan hinges on a thing that costs us a bunch of life to keep our board. Also, I will note, we can confirm they did not go for the sideboard juke. They pitched Shigani Manor Burns. So, like, what's the idea here? If you got Shigani Manor Burns, you've been floating 2 mana each turn. Why not go for the Shigani Manor Burns? I feel like that's how you get out of this awkward hole. So pitched Mountain, pitched Shigani Manor Burns. Also, 5 of the 8 mountains seen here. Only 1 basic Swamp. Interesting. Taps Swamp for Rooftop Slink. Pays red for a 3rd Ignited Soul. Yeah. We untap. We draw Coalesced Mesa. I mean, if we go for Mesa and they don't have the 3rd black source, they can't Final Fate it. They can loot 3 times to go find it, but I think that's got to be our play here. Ages of Grace. Ship it on over. But yeah, the so far, this match in particular, the Wastes and Coalesced lands have been making their presence known in a very unpleasant fashion, which is rather unfortunate. They did hit the 3rd black source, so they are going to get to Final Fate here. It is going to cost them their entire turn, but they are going to get to just kind of start putting the screws to us. I cannot imagine they don't just Final Fate here. It's like, it just seems like the obvious play. This has been a rough game too. Yep, that's gonna be 4 mana. Final Fate, the Aegis. I mean, on the bright side now, if we draw a 2nd Aegis, we are in a much more comfortable spot. I imagine they resolve all Ignited Souls. No discard. Uh-oh. That's curious. I wonder if it's another terminal impact. And it gives them an answer if we find another Aegis of Grace here. We untap. We draw Tomer, Figurehead President. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. We run out Tomer. I mean, we swing with Tomer and the Radiant Devotee next turn. We take 3 here. Oh, just 3. They pitch Mountain, they pitch Reclaim the Fallen, and Terminal Impact just kills us. Rough Rider, main 2, Terminal Impact. GG. Yeah, very, very, very rough draw. But we get to be on the play here. I'm not changing my sideboard plan for even a second. If my opponent is considering moving to the sideboard juke now, I don't care. I'm not going to go for the sideboard juke. You can have your mid-range cards. Opponent is thinking, so it's possible that they are evaluating whether or not they want the juke on the draw. Just going to get the I'll play typed in here for when we get into the game proper. But yeah, this has been a rough showing, at least that particular game. But like, I think we were in a very sketchy spot in game 1 as well, and just kind of I have to assume that like opponent was just overthinking our ability to bounce back from the board wipe. Okay, this is better. This is turn 1 Plains, Soft Light Harmonist. Turn 2 Reinforcements, and then if we can find the 3rd land that's double Consume the Divine, that is going to spiral the board very hard, very suddenly. We're going to keep this. So we're going to go main 1, Primal Fisher, Crack It, View Library, Plains, and we're not going to mess around with like Harmonist, Resolute Reinforcements. We're just going to play the 1/1 flyer. That is enough of a headache for them that I could even be... I could even see them terminal impact this here. I would love for this to be a 2/2, but we make do with what we've got. Opponent will pass on the Ignited Soul. We untap and draw. That is the 3rd white source, folks. We're going to go ahead and play that Plains rather than the Coalesced Mesa. Combat, swing 1, and pass. You know it. You love it. Here comes the reinforcements. And then, yeah, we're just going to get to go Divine. Really try and kill them as soon as we can. Because that's going to be trio of 2/2 swinging in here for 6 into 4/4s the following turn. To the point where, 6 plus 12 there, that's 18. We're pretty comfortable in the... Yeah, talking about Resolute Reinforcements again. Has a feeling they know what's coming here. There's an argument to flash out the Reinforcements, double block the Ignited Soul here. But once again, I think they are just planning to chump block. And so they won't swing in the Ignited Soul. But again, I think I am just more interested in getting the number of bodies in play, and then I've got Sanctum of Repression to clear the way if they hold up Ignited Soul up to block on a key turn. But otherwise, I was going to say that we can actually plan a lot for the reanimation turn now, because we've got the double Consume the Divine, and we're going to be swinging with a bunch of 4/4s on turn 4 before they can get, especially on the second swamp. Are they going to Final Fate? Oh, okay. They play the Mountain instead. They're going to Exorcist of Errors. Let's flash out a Resolute Reinforcements. So we're just going to do this around the Exorcist of Errors here. We're going to reveal Face Up Pile. So if they choose the face down pile, it gives them the choice between Consume and Sanctum, but they also take the risk that we are not holding another Consume or anything else they might want to Exorcist here. They are talking about Sanctum of Repression, so Ricky pretty cleverly has concluded that we were likely to have boarded it in, even though we didn't show it last game. Talking about Plasma Strike as well. So just talking about the sideboard cards that we are likely to have to deal with the Exorcist. Does look like the opponent has gone for the mid-range sideboard juke. Talks about Containment Seraph as well, which is a draw we could find to pick the Exorcist out of play here. Containment Seraph actually really good against Exorcist of Errors, just because, Seraph is always going to have the drawback of that leaves the battlefield trigger, giving the opponent some value. But when Exorcist of Errors leaving play means we get a resource back, it takes out some of the oomph of Containment Seraph having that drawback. That said, Containment Seraph is not currently in our hand, so is not something that we are currently lined up to be hitting with the Exorcist, but I would not mind a top deck Containment Seraph. But yeah, this Exorcist is going to be effective even if they do take the Sanctum of Repression at just stopping us from swinging these 1/1s into a 2/3 blocker, even with a Consume the Divine in play. We could assess that, the 1/1 is the two, getting the 1/1 to be a 2/2 is worth losing the other body, but I think that's just not true in this current circumstance. So our turn 3 play is preserved no matter what, but Exorcist of Errors is going to stem the momentum of that play quite a lot. So let's see what they take here. They could ask to see the face down pile. They're going to see the face down pile. All right. Reveal hands to all players. So they see the third land. They see the second Consume. They see the Sanctum of Repression. I imagine at this point that is just taking the Sanctum of Repression. Yep, they're going to take the Sanctum. And we pick up the Consume the Divine. I'm going to keep this popped out so that way they know what resources we have. They know about offering the trade. I think knowing that this has happened now, I'm actually much more inclined to trade. Because if they kill the Resolute Reinforcements or the Soldier Token, I'm kind of not like losing a ton of sleep. They can't attack into this Exorcist right now anyhow. And I get to clear this thing that lets them smooth their draws. Yeah, I am going to go for the block here. I imagine they kill Reinforcements here just to prevent us from getting Soft Light Harmonist value on a future turn. Yep, that is fine. Alrighty. Not too shabby. So, Exorcist of Errors, unfortunate for us here, but we're still going to do what we can to try and spiral the board out of control, and Consume the Divine will help for doing so. You'll untap and draw a Plains. Interesting choice here. Playing the Plains preserves 1 point of life, but does reveal that we drew dead this turn. Playing the Coalesced Mesa conceals the draw, but... So here's my thinking. We play the Coalesced Mesa, we play the Consume the Divine, and if the opponent has a second Exorcist of Errors, we reveal the Consume the Divine they know about, and let them see that we drew a land. Psych them into the face down card. Because that would be the only reason, the singular reason, for us to play the Coalesced Mesa here. The question is that 1 point of life going to come back to bite us in the long run? And it very well could, but we're sitting here at 20 to our opponent's 19 right now. And the second Exorcist of Errors taking away the second Consume the Divine really hurts our ability to kill them. So I think it is in my best interest to go for the card they know and to make them think that I was thinking about playing the card I drew this turn. I'm going to keep the Consume visible here just because they know I still have one in hand. I'm keeping the Sanctum here because they know I will eventually potentially have that back in hand with the Exorcist of Errors. We will go to combat. We will just swing with the Soft Light Harmonist. It's going to be a 2/2. And we'll pass. Alrighty. Very nervous about where this is going, but I am praying that the play here is Exorcist of Errors, we show Divine, and they choose face down. If that happens, oh my god. Because this was the play they already saw coming. But we paused and thought about it long enough to make them think we're holding something else that's important. That was the benefit of also ruminating on it, is that they might think we have something important next to our other Consume the Divine in hand. And I mean, hey, it is going to be important. It lets us cast Consume without taking damage. But, oh, also, whoops, I should be at 19. Whoops. Caught it. Didn't mean to have this on Ricky's main phase 1 make a point out of the fact that I took damage to play the Consume the Divine, but it sure is the case. Now, Ricky could assume that maybe I drew a Neostelia and was weighing whether or not to put it into play untapped. But why? There would be no reason to put Neostelia into play tapped, because Consume the Divine wouldn't be able to be cast if that were the case. So this was Terminal Impact the Soldier, Final Fate the Harmonist. That is rough. Whew. We untap, we draw Neostelia. All right, well, now we're just going to play Plains and Consume the Divine. And hope we don't just lose to Exorcist of Errors taking away our removal spell. I'm fine with pitching a Neostelia to... Oh, God. Oh, God, no. I just realized I am very likely to just fold like a crumpled piece of paper to a certain 3/3 for 4. Inner Rings Pupil could absolutely devastate me here. It's possible that they did that attack trying to play around a Plasma Strike. Reanimator burns, so no Inner Rings Pupil yet. They play Ignited Soul. We untap, we draw. Ooh, good lord. How did we get flooded 2 games out of 3? 2 games flood, 1 game mana screw, 20 lands. That is the life right there. I mean, yeah, we will play Neostelia and ship on over. Yeah, we're just out. We need to have an unfathomably good draw, and we need the next 17 cards of our opponent's library to be lands. I think that is where we're at right now. And even then, Final Fate just kills whatever we play. Reanimator burns, digs them deeper. Oh, they didn't even go on the full juke. Okay. Good lord. But at least we faded their Reanimator burns trigger. Holy hell. Holy hell. Okay, so they boarded in only the Exorcist of Errors. So the good news there is that that means that we do not have to be afraid of the Inner Rings Pupil. The Inner Rings Pupil cannot hurt us. But we are still feeling hurt. They pitch another Final Fate. They pass. We will untap and draw a Containment Seraph. I'm going to hold on to this Plains for now because there's no reason to run it out. I'm going to Containment Seraph, pick this idiot off. Set annotation to MV1, MV2. Exiled for good. No need to attach. So I'm just tracking that it's MV2. And then this goes to my hand, and I can close this now because I think I'm just going to Sanctum of Repression. Now I'm just thinking about what thing I am repressing. No reprieve, thinking on targets. I think it's got to be Ignited Soul. This feels awful, but I just need to strand them leaning on Shigani Manor Burns right now. Because that is one discard per turn cycle, whereas this is a bunch. And so Reclaim the Fallen being in graveyard, I just need them to pop the treasure here so that way they're out of their third black source, and I just need them to not have anything else going on. Okay. Board is swung in our favor, but this is not a great position to be in because we take 2 from Shigani Manor Burns. We do swing for 4, but we are never going to get to swing here because they've got Final Fate. Oh boy. Have I mentioned I don't love the flashback removal in Uldun, specifically the stuff in black? I don't have as much grievances with Final Fate as with Chronicle of Extinction, actually. I like that Final Fate asks a pretty strict deck building cost in terms of the triple black flashback cost. So that was said more as a joke. Oh my god, they had a terminal impact? Come on, so they just get to save the Final Fate? Good lord. I'm not even sure I agree with that particular line. Save the terminal impact for killing me. Like, yeah, I guess you get Temple of Origins here, but like, just spend the treasure, especially if you end up with the Temple of Origins. Untap and draw another Containment Seraph. We're just gonna hang out here. Rationale behind not deploying the Containment Seraph, even though there's nothing to remove, is that number 1, saving it for something to remove is good. Number 2, if I can deploy multiple threats in one turn, that is preferable. But either way, we are in a bad spot. A pretty bad spot. If I'd known that I was drawing another Containment Seraph, I maybe would have sanctumed the Shigani Manor Burns here. We see 5 mana for Reclaim the Fallen, just getting back an Ignited Soul. Wow. That is, sorry, no, not 5 mana. That is a flashback Reclaim the Fallen. All right. That is the kind of game we are playing. Untap, draw. Gentle Grasp. Get out of here. And we'll pass. That almost makes me wonder. So I think it's possible maybe they boarded out some of their privilege escalations, and so by hitting both of those, they just knew that their Reclaim the Fallens were only going to be good for value. They pitch another Reclaim the Fallen, find Temple, find Shigani Manor Burns. I really need an Aegis of Grace right now. I think Aegis of Grace is the top deck that starts to give me some breathing room. They pay 3 for Final Fate. That is fine. I'm holding on to the Gentle Grasp here, and the rationale behind holding on to the Gentle Grasp is that Aegis of Grace backed up by a Gentle Grasp means I get to stop a removal spell trying to kill the Aegis of Grace, and then tee myself up to start getting back into this game in a real way. They do have a second Shigani Manor Burns rolling, though, so we are in a very sketchy spot, and a Terminal Impact does now kill us. We untap. We draw Ambitious Angel, Plains as land for turn. We will go for the Ambitious Angel. I mean, there's no reason to level it up right now anyways, because we just know that there's a removal spell in Graveyard. And we can make them think that maybe we've got reinforcements in hand, or more likely, the reality of we have Gentle Grasp in hand. I think it is likely they play around the Gentle Grasp on Terminal Impact here. But yeah, this is, I don't see how we're winning this. God, the Exorcist of Error is here too. Just so unfortunate. If they have an untapped land in hand, they can just go Exorcist plus Terminal Impact, and they just don't even have to care. They mentioned Cloud9 here. Interesting. They go for the Terminal Impact for 6. Just clarifying. Yes. We're going to Gentle Grasp it. Exile target spell you don't control. Discard a card to replay it on another turn. Oh, that's for 9. I see. So that is their full turn. They do lose out on the Exorcist here. So Aegis of Grace on the top. Please? One time? Maybe? Perhaps we get lucky? Opponents had some really stellar draws, so I would not mind a little bit of favor here. Also, I asked for 6, and then they were as they were removing the treasures, so I missed that. Okay. Come on, one time. I'm gonna draw Resolute Reinforcements. I'm speaking that into existence. And the worst part of all of this is that with Shigani Manor Burns dealing 2 to us next turn, Terminal Impact is going to be able to still kill us. This game. We untap. Yep. Well. Make it a 3/3. Go to combat. Finally get to swing with something. That's for 5. Main 2, play a Plains. GG. Unfortunate. Well, we win some, we lose some. That is more like how I expected this matchup to go. It is just opponent with good removal that also kills us, and then their creatures also kill us while setting up their engines. And not much you can do about it. Yeah, this is a rough deck to play against, but make do with what we've got. And I did put up a pretty good fight, at least in game 1, and then games 2 and 3 happened. But hey, funky deck's gonna have some weird draws. Maybe we'll have some less weird draws in future matches, though. We're still in this. We can still see how this shakes out. So we're not out of this yet. If y'all want to see how this keeps going, stay tuned for round 3. Maybe we can still get to top cut, but Not going to say I'm holding my breath by any measure. Either way, hope you all have been enjoying so far. We'll see where this goes. And until then, I will see you all in the Revolution chat. Bye-bye.